Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Come on in the room, get settled. We will start in just a short moment. Thank you to everyone who has the time to tune in today. Hi. Happy Sunday. Happy post Mercury retrograde. Happy first day of Saturn retrograde in Aries. Happy first day of the last week of July, which has both felt like the slowest and longest month of this year. Hello, hello. I am Soleil. I am founder and facilitator of the Charm School Mentorship Program. I am your weekly reader. I am a certified life coach, financial trauma recovery coach, and big life transition coach. And I'm a dope bitch straight out of Oakland, okay? Hello, hello. Thank you for joining. Come in the room, get settled. Say hi as you come in. Hey, JL. Good to see you. So glad you could be here. Yeah, I'm here much earlier than I typically am. So I'm so grateful that you get to be here because I know it's late where you are, but at least it's early enough technically for you to still tune in. So thank you for joining. Hello, Svensva. Mercury retrograde was a bastard. I was literally telling one of my godchildren yesterday, Mercury retrograde kept trying to jump me, and she literally came in and got her last few licks in during the last couple hours of the retrograde. I'm kid you not. Like, I don't know what everybody else's retrograde lesson was, but mine was about how overgiving has made people feel really entitled towards my time, towards my energy, towards my grace. And I had somebody literally in the last 2 hours of the retrograde, somebody who I've done way too much for, pick a fight with me and tell me that I have never done anything for them except give them money, which I'm supposed to do. I ain't got no fucking children. I'm not Jesus. So yeah, fuck this last retrograde. Mercury retrogrades typically do not impact me negatively, but this one was a disgusting little beast. So I'm glad she's over, and I'm actually excited to see what is in store for me with Saturn retrograde in Aries. Because I, surprisingly, as a Taurus, have a lot of Aries in my chart. So I think this is going to be a really helpful retrograde for me. Anyway, enough about retrogrades. If you guys are interested in learning about the Saturn and Aries retrograde, I encourage you to go back and look at this past week's Astro Hour segment, where I break down Saturn in retrograde, particularly Saturn retrograde in Aries, and give some spiritual advice about what we need to be mindful of and how we can position ourselves to get the best benefit from that particular retrograde. But tonight we are here for the weekly energy reading. Again, I typically do these at 7:30 on a Sunday night, but because of some of my paid clients' needs, I have appointments later this evening, so it was important for me to get this done earlier, okay? For those of you who've been here before, welcome back. If this is your first time here, I want to set a few ground rules. I want to thank you for joining me, but before we get into it, I do want to set a few ground rules, okay? I want to make it very clear that this is a general collective reading, right? What that means is that the information that Spirit blesses us with will likely impact the majority, but it is not a message, an individual message for everyone, okay? So because this is a free collective reading, my encouragement for you is to chew the meat and spit out the bones. What does that mean? Take what resonates with you, leave what does not. If you come in my comments saying none of this applies to me or this reading doesn't resonate with me throughout the week, I'm going to delete your fucking comment and I will likely block you. I've had to do it before because y'all, again, talking about entitlement, y'all expect way too much personal and individual resonance from a collective reading, okay? So again, Chew the meat, spit out the bones. Take what applies to you, leave what does not, okay? Next ground rule. If you are here because you saw me post in a group that I'm going to take questions from the audience, I absolutely am, and I always do. After I'm done with the collective reading and after I've given my updates. So if you just tumble in late and start putting questions and demanding things of me for free in the comments section, I will politely tell you where to shove it and block you. Please be respectful. Let me get through the collective reading first, and then I will take questions from the audience. Okay? Lastly, I do not read without energy exchange. I do not do individual personal readings without energy exchange. The suggested love offering is for $11.11 if you have a personal question. That is a suggestion. No one will be turned away because they don't have the full $11.11, but you need to send something, even if it's just $1, okay? And if you are in a blessed position to give more, feel free to do that if this resonates with you, okay? But I only read without energy exchange. So if you are here and you are not subscribed to my channel, you should subscribe. If you know other people in your life who could benefit from this reading or who would resonate with my reading style, share the link to the video, okay? Those are all things that help me in terms of growing this channel because it is my goal to try and get the channel to 500 subscribers before the summer is over, okay? Those are ground rules. Those are updates. Now we're going to just go ahead and go straight into the reading, okay? Yes, Aisha, I'm on early because Sunday is my busiest day in terms of bookings, and I had a client that needs to meet with me this evening. So I love giving free live streams to the public, but the paid clients come first. And so because of this person's travel and work schedule, I have to prioritize them and make sure that I stream early today, okay? Ancestors, angels, ascended master, spirits that walk with me, my elevated ancestors. What wisdom do we as a collective need about the week of July 27th through August 2nd? Give us insight into the nature of any lessons, blessings, breakthroughs, challenges, obstacles that lie ahead of us over the next 7 to 10 days. Who do we need to be? What do we need to see about ourselves, our habits, and our environment that will allow us to move through the energy of this next week with clarity, mastery, and grace? Illuminate anything that we should know that will help us prepare and protect ourselves. All right. I know you understand, Aisha. You are probably one of my most understanding clients. You're one of my clients that gives me the most grace and remembers that I'm a human being. I appreciate you tremendously for that. I really do. I think you and JL are probably, and Nicole too, some of my more understanding clients. I really appreciate you guys. I haven't even pulled the whole spread over. Don't run from truths just because they're uncomfortable this week. Do not run from truths just because they are uncomfortable. Some of us are sitting in feelings of discomfort. We feel like we are being stagnated, and it is because we are looking at the wrong sources for answers. We are trying to mine our recent past. We are trying to go to closed doors, hoping that we can get change or progress. That's not going to happen, right? In fact, you are going to have revelation about the nature of those closed doors and the nature of those expired opportunities that help you understand how they have put you in the position that A, has led to you feeling stuck, but B, has, how do I say this? Give me the language, Spirit. Give me the language. The only reason why you're going back to those closed doors is because you're a little lazy and you want to lean on comfort, right? that may sound brutal, but it's the reality of the situation. It's easy to go back to what we know than to challenge ourselves to do better, right? And so this week, when you are confronted with the uncomfortable truth of how your addiction to comfort, your dependence on comfort, is what is stalling you, it's really important that you have both the emotional compassion and discipline to be honest with yourself about that revelation, right? To not just want to hyperfixate on your light, but to analyze and acknowledge the shadow that you're being forced to look at so that that does not continue to hold you stagnant, right? There are some of us watching either live or in the replay where there is a lapse between what we believe our identity and how other people experience us. This week is going to force us into looking at that. And if what we really want is forward movement, if what we really want is the universe conspiring with us to let us move forward and to elevate and grow, we're going to have to be honest with ourselves about how that lapse and how we understand who we are and how we show up in integrity of who we are is contributing to that. Okay, I'm gonna go to the cards in just 1 second so that you guys can see what I'm seeing. Just want to light a little bit more Palo. First card in the spread, 4 of Cups. You feel stuck. You feel uncomfortable. You're seeing realities and truths, things that you really don't want to look at, right? But you really don't know how to move forward. And you're looking at the same old options over and over again. But there is some truth, some opportunity, some reality that Spirit has been trying to literally hand you in a gold chalice, on a silver platter, something that they've been trying to get you to look at for a while that you are evading, right? And here, the thing is, again, the 4 of Cups, the cups are outside of you. But the thing is, what is holding you back or limiting you is actually about you. Gemini energy of the Lover's card. Self-love is not just self-soothing, right? Self-love is having awareness of the full side and the full spectrum of who you are, right? So in order for you to fully be engaged in self-love and show up in a loving way, you have to be aware of your gifts and the positive aspects of who you are, as well as willing to hold the shadows in you accountable, right? That's why Gemini is the twin, right? Loving yourself enough to be willing to refine yourself and acknowledge how the lack of self-refinement may be leading to the position you are feeling it right now, which is one of being stuck, right? If you can really confront yourself this week and really sit with the things about you that make you uncomfortable, as opposed to running away, avoiding, and defaulting to self-soothing, there is a huge amount of emotional maturation that can take place within you, right? King of Cups is the compassionate leader, yes, but they are somebody who they have learned from their pain, but it's different than how it shows up in the Queen of Swords, right? Queen of Swords learns from her pain and it turns into wisdom that teaches her how to protect herself. King of Cups is well-traveled, has gone through some stuff, has learned from what they've gone through and what they've witnessed, and that wisdom makes them much more compassionate. Part of the reason why some of you guys have a hard time looking at and taking responsibility for how you've contributed to the ways that you feel stuck is because you feel that discipline, you feel that critique, you feel that compatibility is the same thing as shame, guilt, and punishment. And King of Cups doesn't move that way. They understand that you can hold yourself accountable while also being compassionate. They understand that you can recognize that you may have had habits that have contributed to the tight spot that you're in, but that doesn't mean that you are a bad person, and that doesn't mean that you deserve to stay there, right? remembering that all the kings represent what we need for leadership. Okay? So in order for you to pull yourself out of this space of stagnation, you are going to have to be compassionate with yourself, because that denial around how you got here is being fed and fueled by the fact that you feel like you have to punish yourself in order to hold yourself accountable. That is not true. Okay? Compassion allows you to see yourself fully, to acknowledge your light and your dark, and to hold both with love in a way that allows you to propel yourself forward. Okay? In the bottom row, we have the Empress, the Judgment card, and the Six of Wands. Take care of yourself, absolutely. But once you are able to do this work of pulling yourself out of the stagnation, it opens up a lot for you creativity. You're able to birth opportunities, right? Some of those things that you've been struggling to get off the ground these first 7 months of the year, you can actually see some progress with. And it's not going to feel forceful. It's not going to feel performative. It's going to feel really authentic and easy. It's literally going to feel like you are giving birth to these amazing opportunities and creative ideas that you've been carrying around for a really long time, right? Another thing that I'm getting, especially because this Empress is next to the Judgment card, the Empress is coming along to say, focus on nurturing yourself this week, right? I think, so the thing about the Four of Cups, it's uncomfortable to feel stagnant. It's uncomfortable to feel like you can't move forward when you want to pick up and go, right? But the thing about the Four of Cups is that the only way through it is to sit in it. It's to sit in the discomfort. It's to acknowledge the discomfort, right? What does that have to do with the Empress? You have to see looking at your reality as a form of self-care and a form of nurturing yourself. There are too many of you all who are watching live or in a replay who, rather than nurturing yourself and pouring into your own cup and making sure that your needs are met, you run from reflection through busyness. I'm going to repeat that. Rather than paying attention to yourself, making sure that your needs are being met, especially if that need is something uncomfortable like discipline, like self-focus, right? You will run from that responsibility through pouring into everybody else, nurturing everybody else, being a busybody, being in everybody else's business. And that is a debilitation of the Empress. When she is in reverse, she is somebody who thinks that her worth and her value is defined by pouring into and taking care of everyone else to the deficit of herself. Her alignment is one of understanding, like, the better I take care of myself, the more I nurture me, the more I feed my creativity, the more abundant that I am, and the more that I have to pour over into other people. So again, not only do you need that King of Cups for the self-reflection, you need this Empress to remember that you can't give yourself what you need. You can't nurture yourself if you're running from yourself. This is a Judgment card week. Revelations the Spirit have been trying to give us for a while. We can't run from them anymore. They're literally going to sit us down so that we can't run from them anymore, right? So again, pay attention to what your spirits are saying. Pay attention to themes and synchronicities. If people are saying the same thing over and over again to you, it can be easy to play victim and think that they're just being mean and everybody's dogpiling on you. I know that for me, when I'm avoiding certain things that I don't want my spirits to say to me, they will have it come from the mouths of multiple people. It'll come from the mouths of a baby. It'll come from the mouths of my cousin. It'll resonate in something that a client says to me, right? But the Judgment card is coming up to say there is information that Spirit has to give you before you can move forward, before you even know how to move forward. So listen and stop running from it. We end with the Six of Wands, right? And I love the Six of Wands. It's quickly becoming one of my favorite cards in the deck. Why is this card coming up? Because it's different, so different in tone from the rest of the cards, right? I want to go back to this Four of Cups. This thing that you feel stagnated in, that you're running from, that you feel all the shame about, that you feel is so heavy and weighty, the people that love you and fuck with you don't even know what that thing is. They don't even understand how you could see yourself that way, right? Just because you have personal refinement to work through, it doesn't mean that people don't respect you. It doesn't mean that people don't want to see you win. It doesn't mean that you aren't going to hit your milestones. And it doesn't mean that people are going to stop clapping for you. What it does mean, though, is that if you can do this personal work, you will actually be emotionally present enough to be able to understand how loved you are. Some of you guys don't understand how loved you are. Some of you guys don't fully understand how much people want to see you win because this is all you see of yourself. All you see of yourself is your inability to stop looking at your past and mining your past for opportunities, for ways to blame yourself, for ways of talking yourself to go back and worship closed doors. So stop doing it so that you can actually stand in this love that the people who want to see you win have for you, so that you can actually embrace the celebration that people want to pour into you, okay? But this first week of Saturn, Aries, and retrograde in Aries, it's going to be a little heavy. A lot of you guys are going to be forced to look at some revelations about how the way that you believe you are is actually in conflict with how people experience you. And there's a deep opportunity for shadow work and alignment, personal alignment, if you're willing to hear that. If instead of running from the responsibility of that, you see that as a form of self-care and self-nurturing, okay? I hope that fell on the ears of those who need to hear it. Let's get into health and wellness next. We'll do health and wellness next. Ancestors, angels, ascended masters, spirits that walk with me, my elevated ancestors. What wisdom do we as a collective need about the week of July 27th through August 2nd as it relates to our holistic health? Highlight the areas of life where we could be nurturing ourselves better, where healing is needed, and show us what we need to do to heal ourselves. Give us insight into the lessons, blessings, habits that either need to be sustained, released, or maintained over the next 7 to 10 days. If there are any challenges, blessings, breakthroughs, obstacles in this area of life, reveal them so that we know how to best prepare and protect ourselves. What do we need to be mindful of so that we can have good holistic health? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. I apologize in advance if you hear a buzzer in the background. My dryer is still going. Sunday is laundry day. and just because I'm here a little early on the live, it does not mean that I'm going to sacrifice having clean sheets and towels for the week. So if you hear a buzz go off, you know, life. 'Tis life. Some of you are avoiding going to the gym because you have not been there in a while, and you know you have to relearn certain things that you have lost sight of, right? That's one of the shittiest things about falling out of your physical care routine, is that you know in order to get back into it, it's going to hurt, right? There's going to be some soreness. You're going to be out of breath quicker than you were the last time, but that doesn't mean that you avoid it and you give up, right? The Eight of Pentacles, being both the card of training and the card of imposter syndrome, is here to say that there are some of you who are avoiding the things you need to do for your physical health and care because you are afraid of seeming like an imposter. You've fallen out of habit. You feel like you're going to be looked at funny for being in the Pilates class after having avoided it for 5 months. Do that shit anyway. The only way you can gain and train your body back to a place where you have mastery over it is to get over your imposter syndrome and prioritize the training anyway. Okay? So if you've been avoiding dance class, make sure you go this week. If your trainer don't even recognize your number because you haven't spoken to them since February, get over it, apologize, and book that session. But whatever it is you need to do, stop avoiding, because here's the thing. The more you avoid, the higher and more significant the imposter syndrome becomes, and the more difficult it's going to be to go back. So stop avoiding your workouts, stop avoiding your physical care. Humble yourself and do the training so that way you can get to the point where it does feel like second nature to you. Okay? It can be uncomfortable to recognize that people around us don't want the same thing for their physical health and wellness that we want for ourselves, right? I remember I've gone on and off being vegetarian a lot in my life. And when I'm vegetarian around my family, that shit is fucking stressful because all they do is make fun of the way I eat and what I eat while they're like literally chugging alcohol and choking down red meat, right? What does that have to do with the Seven of Wands? Well, in order for you guys to take care of your body, to take care of your health the way that you want to, you're going to have to quiet the noise of people around you who aren't really living the way you want to live. I don't know any other way to say it, because that's the thing about the Seven of Wands, right? The people who are trying to knock you down to size are literally at your feet. And that's not to say that you're better than them, but it is to say that their choices are keeping them at a position that's lower than you. So if you know you want to improve your health, but you are surrounded by people who their only way of hanging out is to smoke weed and drink alcohol, and you don't want to do those things anymore. Or, when you say you want to hang out, instead of going for a hike or going for a swim or doing whatever it is that's going to help you with your physical care, they just want to do, they want to eat wings and get margaritas. You may have to allow yourself to elevate beyond those people for a little bit. And you may have to drown them out, right? I think that there are more people than are fully aware and willing to admit who are watching either live or in the replay where your physical care becomes difficult because you're surrounded by people who will talk you out of doing what you need to do, right? Girl, why would you want to take a 7 o'clock yoga class? We about to go to happy hour, right? So it's your responsibility to drown out the noise unapologetically, sorry, not sorry, and elevate beyond it, right? Your physical care journey is going to be an individual matter. It is. I know it would be great if we were in a position where we all just had groups of friends that would go to Pilates with us, or we all had people that we can call on to go to the gym with us because we don't want to go by ourselves. It would be dope. But your physical health, your care is an individual road and path. And because it is a personal path, you have to be unapologetically dedicated to it. You have to, in that chariot-like fashion and form, wake up every day, not asking yourself, how long is it going to take me to lose the weight? How long is it going to take me to build the muscle? How long is it going to take me to, I don't know, get the 6-pack, whatever it is you fucking want, and think, what do I need to do this day to bring me closer to it? Because that is what separates the chariot from other energies. That is also what makes the chariot successful. For them, it's not a matter of will it work? It's what do I need to do in this moment, in this day, in this hour to get me closer to the goal, right? So that's what I'm getting from the first row. Again, this is under the 8 of Pentacles. You're being asked to be really honest with yourself and take inventory over what is working and what is not working, right? Knight of Pentacles is a card of budgeting, yes. But it's budgeting that happens as a result of crossing the T's and dotting the I's, looking at what's available. I think some of you all have had a hard time prioritizing your physical health in particular, because again, remembering that both the Pentacles and the Wands are cards of physical health, right? Some of you guys don't want to look at your body. You don't want to stand on the scale. You don't want to take inventory over the progress you need to make. So there's a disconnection there. So the Knight of Pentacles is calling you to like really, really be honest with yourself and take inventory, right? I don't know who needs to hear this, but there's some of you all who need to really go and look in your pantry. You need to go look in your pantry. You need to go look in your freezer, and there are things that you know you are not supposed to have, and you need to just go ahead and throw them away. That's Knight of Pentacles energy, especially when it comes to health. Taking inventory and being honest about what needs to be released, what needs to be cut away, what do I need to start budgeting for. Download. There are some of you guys who don't want to invest in eating properly. You won't buy the vegetables, you won't buy the grains, you won't buy the supplements, but you have no problem with spending $60 on Uber Eats, right? You have no problem with going out and, spending $50 on margaritas and tacos. So it's a priorities thing. And whenever the Knight of Pentacles comes up, it's a combination of taking inventory and building your priorities out on that, right? We have the Three of Cups. Stop gossiping about other people. Now, here's the thing. You may be hearing that and you're thinking, Mambo, you just spent all this time talking about physical care and the gym. And what does gossip have to do with any of that? Well, it has to do with that in two ways. One, and I used to be around people who were like this, right? I think that there are people, the way the fat phobia works in particular is that people will sit around and point and make fun of and talk about somebody else's body to draw attention away from themselves, right? So the time you spend sitting around talking about somebody else's body and what they should be doing, somebody else's care and what they should be doing, somebody else's regimen and what they should be doing, that is time that you should be focused on refining things for yourself. That's one way it has to do with gossip. But the other thing that it has to do with gossip is most of the time when we're gossiping, we're not doing healthy shit. We're drinking ourselves, drinking alcohol. We're engaged in vices. We're sitting on our ass, right? So stop sitting around drinking, being merryful at other people's cost, right? Also, and this is another message, think about the ways you celebrate. Celebration doesn't always have to happen at a bar. It doesn't always have to happen over a bottle of wine, right? And you are going to be hitting milestones in the coming months where you are going to want to be celebrated with your intimate peer group. So start thinking about new ways to celebrate. Every time somebody comes and invites me, or not invites me, every time somebody comes to visit me in Atlanta, I invite them to the river. I like to go to the river. I like to put my feet in the water. I like to walk along the trails by the river. That's just what I like to do. I would rather do that, because even though I'm a tourist and I like luxury, I do have a cheap side. So a free, beautiful nature thing is going to make me happy. But also it brings me outside. I'm moving my body. I'm not stuffing my mouth with cocktail shrimp and alcohol, right? So yes, you're going to have a lot to celebrate, especially as we go into the end of this year. Holiday season is coming up. But give yourself permission to think about ways of celebrating that are not rooted in sitting around and drinking alcohol or, overindulging. Because there is an aspect of the Three of Cups, especially when it relates to health, where you are using celebration to overindulge in ways that you can regret easily. And I don't know who needs to hear this, but okay, you're not where you want to be right now with your physical care and regimen. You're not where you want to be with your workout routine. You may have told yourself back in December or January that by the time July rolls around, you were going to lose insert amount of pounds here. And you probably not only didn't lose that, you may have gained a little bit, right? Okay. The only way that it changes is if you believe in yourself and have faith that it can change. Because the lack of faith is probably what made it hard for you to be disciplined in your routine, to wake up every day doing something, even if it's something small, to bring you closer to your goal. and made you avoid looking at your reality and taking inventory over what needs to be done. The main thing that I'm seeing in terms of all 6 of these cards, but I'm going to talk about the star because it's where we end, is that some of you guys are not taking care of your body the ways you want to because you don't have faith that it's going to matter. You don't have the faith that it's going to make active change. Here's the thing. If you never try, you won't know. We miss 100% of the shots that we don't take. That's my one sports saying that I repeat all the time because I'm not a sports girly, right? So we're ending with the star card to say, like, okay, you're dealing with this imposter syndrome. You're upset that you don't have the results you want in your body, but it's never going to change. And you won't know if you can get those results if you don't work on your faith. Some of you guys have faith in a lot of things, but you don't have faith in your health and your care. You have faith in your ability to make money. You have faith in your ability to be impressive to authority figures. What if it was about developing the faith that if I take good care of my body, I'll feel it immediately, right? So I think that's something that those who are watching live or in the replay really need to give themselves permission to work on. And I think with Saturn being in Aries, fire is, it's wands, it's passion, it's productivity. Some of you guys are not passionate about your health. And because you're not passionate about your health, it's hard for you to make progress, okay? Let's look at love, and then we'll end with money. Hey, Dulcinea, thank you so much for joining us. Hey, Adelaida, good to see you. No worries, Dulcinea. I'm here earlier than I typically am. I typically don't go live until 7:30 p.m., but I have a client that can only meet with me in the evening tonight, so I had to go live a little early in order to accommodate them. But next week, we'll be back at the 7:30 p.m. schedule. So you're technically not late. I'm just super, super early. Ancestors, angels, angels, ascended masters, spirits to walk with me. My elevated ancestors. What do we as a collective need to know about love, romance, and matters of the heart during the week of July 27th through August 2nd? Give us insight into the nature of any lessons, blessings, challenges, or breakthroughs coming into our lives as it relates to love and romance over the next 7 to 10 days. Who do we need to be? What do we need to see about ourselves, our habits, and our environments that will allow us to have the experiences of love we want to have and be experienced by those we love in the ways we want? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. Star card fell out for love. We're going to see how that relates to the spread in just a second. If anybody has any comments, if anything I've said so far has resonated with them, put a message in the comments. JL says, I've been avoiding the gym. You know what? I have to, child. I felt called out by the reading. I tell y'all all the time, sometimes I get on here and I start doing these readings and they're collective reading, and I have to challenge myself to not stop. Because I know Spirit be calling me out through the collective message. But again, it's a collective message, right? So it means that many of us need to hear that. Clarify the Five of Wands. What do we need to know about the Five of Wands? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. Whew. Forgive me in advance. Please forgive me in advance. Please do not let this be a shoot the messenger message, okay? There are some of you all who are not getting the results you want from your love life because you won't stop engaging in comparison. And that comparison is used to feed your fears rather than to motivate your desires. Some of you guys have hyper awareness of what you don't want from love. and that outweighs your awareness of what you do want. When I say that the competition is feeding your fears or fueling your disengagement, what I mean by this is that if you have yourself convinced that we live in a day and age where dating is bullshit and the people of the opposite sex or the same sex, if that's who you date, only want that becomes justification for you to not be disciplined, for you to not be deliberate, for you to not be consistent, right? So it just becomes an excuse for you to not put the work in that you need to put. That's why the first card is the Hierophant. If you want love, you have to show up as disciplined, consistent, and as spiritually aligned as the kind of love that you want to receive. Okay? That's why it's important to be more aware of what you want from love than what you don't want. Okay? I say this all the time, and this has been the message of the year, and I don't know who's decided to hear me and who's avoiding it, but you're not treating yourself or refining yourself into becoming the kind of person that's going to attract the partner you want, because there's a struggle with trust. You don't trust that the universe is going to bring you an aligned partner. You don't trust yourself to be capable of attracting that person. And because of that, you're not working on consistently being dedicated to showing up in the world as a person who's going to attract that kind of partner. Okay? So open your heart chakra. Be willing to receive. Trust that if you show up in vulnerability and authenticity, the universe will bring you an aligned love. And if you don't know how to do that in this moment, that's okay. But you have to start investing in habits and in a plan to become that person. You have to start sowing the seed now. You have to take inventory of your alignment. You have to prune away any bad habits or thoughts that are not bringing you closer to having the kind of love that you want to have. There are some of you who are married or in a relationship, and you think that what I'm saying to you doesn't apply to you. It absolutely does. You're probably bickering with your partner because you've not been consistent in quite some time. They're probably frustrated because the disciplined, aligned, loving, knowledgeable person that they fell in love with, they don't recognize them that much, because whatever has triggered you into going back into your shadows and has activated your trust issues is making you, for whatever reason, believe that you can't continue to be the person that they fell in love with in the first place. Stop lying to yourself and get back into investing, into pouring into nurturing yourself, into developing yourself. Okay? Again, sit in visualization. Remember what you want. Remember who you want. It's hard to achieve what you want if you don't have vision. It's hard to know what you're striving for if you have no plan and you can't see it. So rather than being distracted by knowing I don't want this and hyperfixating on your fears, get clear in your mind's eye about what it is you absolutely do want from love. Some of you all are way too comfortable with being distracted by bullshit and conflict and competition when it comes to love and romance. It's like you are bullying yourself into believing that you don't deserve a thing. That is a shadow work issue. You are probably the only person in your life that's telling you you're not capable of love, or your man's going to leave you, your woman's going to leave you, you can't maintain this relationship, whatever the false belief is. Stop it. And the only reason why you're doing that is because you have an addictive relationship to your shadows that makes you feel much more comfortable with being in conflict, disruption, and potential loss than you are with being in comfort and love. You got to remember that what you water grows. What you pour into your reality and into your life is what you get back, right? So don't let your shadows around love and worthiness and false competition and believing that, I was just having this conversation. I'm going to try to say this without, y'all don't know who this person is, but I still don't want to say too much because I want to keep this relationship. But somebody that I'm working with, right? Been married for like 10 years and has gotten it in their mind that their husband is only interested in women that look completely unlike them, right? They're a thicker woman and they're like, well, my husband only likes light skin and tiny and da-da-da-da. And I'm like, okay. And I mean this in the most respectful way. You've never been that. They married you. This person was bigger when they got married than what they are now. And they've been brown skinned the whole time. So you are fighting with an external definition of competition and low-key using it to bully yourself into moving through your shadows. And if you keep doing that, you're going to get that experience. You're going to feel rejected. You're going to feel unworthy. So don't even do that to yourself. Don't even waste your time with distracting yourself from false competition. You are sitting here making a villain or a competitor out of your shadow fears when that's never held you back from getting what you wanted in the first place. Stop inventing evidence to make you feel like you are not worthy of love. I don't know who needs to hear that. And I don't know why that has been so prevalent this year, but y'all have to stop doing that shit. This person, again, married for 10 years, and has just convinced themselves that their fucking husband doesn't want them when their husband has never wanted anybody but them. Y'all be arguing with ghosts because you are so fixated on running after your shadow and using your shadow as justification for why you don't deserve. And that's a you thing. That's not your lover's fault. That's not anybody else's choice but yours. Okay? We end with the Queen of Wands. I keep telling y'all, you get what you believe you deserve. You get what you believe you deserve. Queen of Wands is the queen of confidence and the queen of worthiness because she believes with all her heart that she is deserving. So whether it's attention, whether it's favor, whether it's accolades and compliments, she believes that she deserves it. She believes that she is deeply worthy. And that is why she is loved. The more that you continue to find reasons to comb through your shadows, to comb through your past, to dig up ghosts, to convince yourself that you don't deserve aligned love, guess what you're going to feel like? That you don't deserve aligned love. If you take the time to tell yourself that not only you deserve it, but to visualize and see yourself receiving it, that will become your reality. That is a discipline issue. Remember in a general reading where I said a lot of us this week are going to be getting revelations about how the things that make us uncomfortable about ourselves are the things that are keeping us in stagnation? Some of you guys are sitting around pretty as fuck. People tell you every goddamn day how gorgeous you are. But you telling yourself that you're not attractive enough, you're not smart enough, you're not charismatic enough. Get disciplined by how you treat you, by how you talk about you, about how you show up in the world, about how you command the people treat you, so that can result in the aligned love that you want. I see now why the star card fell out. Some of us, and it may feel like a mean thing to say, it may feel like something uncomfortable, maybe by the end of the week, it'll resonate for you. But some of you all don't have love simply because you don't have faith in your ability to get love. And you want to blame other people. You want to pull your shadows out and weaponize them against other folks as though it's their fault. No, work on your faith. Okay? I hope that fell on the ears of whoever needed to hear it. I had to learn this the hard way, ladies. At some point, you have to stop and look at you, the inner you, and get yourself together. Yeah, especially... Elisa, I'm not even gonna sit here and talk about how pretty you are. I know you probably sick of hearing. We've known each other for what, 4 or 5 years now, You probably tired of me saying how pretty you are. Like, one thing I can say about your mom is she didn't make no ugly girls. You and your sister are gorgeous. So yeah, the way you feel about yourself and the way you carry that belief absolutely impacts the way that other people treat you. Yes, I see all of my beliefs holding me back. Yeah, you got to let that go. You got to let that go, especially if you don't have, and that I love that the Four of Cups came out in that first reading, right? Because we can be in a position where our direct present reality doesn't reflect any of that shit. So we run and we dig into old empty cups for old evidence, outdated evidence of shit. And it's like, we gotta stop doing that. We really gotta stop doing that. That does not help us at all. Okay, I'm gonna wrap up with the finance reading, and then I will take questions from the audience if anyone has any, okay? Ancestors, angels, ascended masters, spirits that walk with me, my elevated ancestors. What wisdom do we as a collective, or what wisdom do we as a collective need about our money, finances, relationship to wealth and prosperity during the week of July 27th through August 2nd? Who do we need to be and what do we need to see about ourselves, our habits, and our environments that may be negatively impacting our relationship with money, or that we can access to strengthen our relationship to abundance, progress, and prosperity? If there are any habits that we need to release, maintain, or sustain in order to have a healthy and prosperous relationship with money, reveal them now so that we know how to best prepare and protect ourselves. Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. Excavating old, it absolutely. 5 of Cups fell out in the shuffle, but I want to see how that speaks to the spread. You may not have the exact amount of money that you want to have, but it doesn't mean that your needs aren't met. This is not a week, and we talked about this in terms of love, but the message is coming back up in terms of our finances. This is not the week to knock on old doors. This is not the week to beat ourselves up based off of old definitions of where we believe we should be or we told ourselves we would be right now. Any of that energy is going to cloud our judgment. It's going to make us choose things out of desperation that are only going to bring us even further out of alignment with abundance. This is a week where gratitude, as well as belief in yourself, is going to give you the wisdom and insights that you need that help you shape your financial stability for the better. Okay? Very first card, 4 of Wands. I would caution to guess that there is not a single one of us watching this either live or in the replay that doesn't have a roof over our head. Okay? Even if that roof is just a hotel room. Even if that roof is an RV, right? Everybody who is watching this is far more stable than they give themselves credit for, has hit more milestones than they are willing to acknowledge. So this week, remembering that the 4 of Wands is not just stability, it's homecoming. And homecoming is a form of celebration. If you want to see financial progress in your life before this calendar year is over, you have an obligation to sit your ass down this week and take inventory of how far you've come and celebrate it. Even if it's not where you want to be, even if it's not where you told yourself you would be at the top of this year or this time last year. Don't nobody give a fuck about none of that. You are stable, more stable than you have celebrated so far. And you cannot close out this week without celebrating yourself through gratitude, through acknowledgement of where you are. Okay? This is essential. And the reason why it's essential is because how are you going to wake up your imagination? How else are you going to wake up your passion so that you have the energy, vitality, and enthusiasm to dream big so that you can make progress throughout the rest of this year or within the next 365, right? If you don't understand how far you've come and you don't celebrate how far you've come, how will you have the passion, vigor, and vitality to dream bigger and call in better? That is literally the lesson of the Page of Wands. I'm excited about this big imagination and these big ideas that I have. And that excitement allows me, it's the card of the messenger, that excitement allows me to receive messages about how I expand further. Okay? Now, here's the thing. There are some of y'all who are hearing what I'm saying, and y'all not going to do that shit. Y'all not going to write nary a gratitude list. Y'all not going to say nary a gratitude prayer. You're not going to be honest with yourself about all the bullshit that you had to get through to get to where you are this year. You're not going to do it. And because you're not going to do it, you are going to move through making decisions from a place of emotional confusion and lack of self-trust. And you're going to end up tying yourself to something in these next 7 to 10 days that you will end up regretting 90 days from now. When we are operating in emotional confusion, when we are operating in doubt that causes us not to believe ourselves, causes us not to trust ourselves, we end up not seeing our options clearly, and then we tie ourselves to some shit that brings us a lot of regret, okay? So that is why I'm begging you. I don't care. Okay, you told yourself you was going to save $10,000 by July, and you saved $150. Nigga, that's $150 that you didn't have. If you want to try to say, celebrate it. Celebrate it. Celebrate homecoming. Celebrate the milestones. Celebrate them. Let that celebration and that enthusiasm spark your imagination so that you understand how to move forward more clearly. Because if you don't, you are going to make a whole bunch of desperate decisions due to your clouded emotional judgment that will only bring you to deeper regret in the immediate future. Okay, 90 days is a long time, but it's not that long. Okay, it takes 21 days to break a habit. It takes 90 days to establish new ways of being. Okay? This is what emotional leadership is all about. This is what it means to lead yourself with compassion. Okay, I didn't hit my targets, but let me acknowledge what I did right that let me make the progress that I did make. Let me evaluate myself with compassion and clarity while I'm also motivating myself to continue to move forward, right? You can have discipline towards yourself while being loving. And I really hope that if y'all learn nothing else from Saturn in Aries, that you learn how to do that. Because a huge part of the reason why some of us who are watching either live or in a replay have a hard time making progress is because we think in polarities. We think we gotta either nurture or baby ourselves into victimization, or we gotta beat up and brutalize ourselves on some grind hard, all work, no days off shit. And that neither one works. King of Cups, compassionate leader. Being real with yourself by being loving with yourself. And some of you guys have to do that in terms of your finances. Okay, you wanted to save $10,000 by July, but if you only make $7,000 a month and all your household bills add up to $5,000 a month and you had an emergency a couple of months ago, there's no way you could have done that. So whatever you did do, celebrate that while also learning so you can move forward. You got to hold both energies, okay? But you're not going to get where you want to be in terms of your financial stability until you, A, believe that you are worthy of it and you can, and that worthiness translates into you, B, taking up more space. Some of you guys are complaining about not wanting to be where you want to be financially. You don't go to no mixers. You don't socialize. You don't network. You don't celebrate your progress and acknowledge the progress. So what are you doing? Being worthy enough to take action instead of hiding behind confusion that keeps getting you further and further away from your financial goals, right? If you can do all of this, I promise you, not only will it bring you clarity, but that clarity will give you sight and vision that you really didn't have in the first part of the year, right? If all we walk away with is insight that shows us how to do something differently, we haven't lost, right? And we can only do the best we can with the wisdom and the knowledge that we have. So yeah, you probably didn't hit whatever financial goal that was you had earlier in the year because you didn't have the knowledge that you needed. And if you can sit in gratitude and evaluate how far you have come, once you receive that knowledge and that new insight, you'll be able to make a lot more happen, okay? But what does not serve us, Five of Cups energy, is crying over what didn't work out to the detriment of what did. I want to repeat that again. What is not going to help you in terms of changing your finances and feeling more stable and feeling more protected, what is not going to help you is whining and crying over what did not work out to the detriment of what did. Okay, you lost 2 clients. But you have had 5 different referrals in the last 2 weeks. So you sitting here crying over whatever client was lost when you probably literally have messages or emails that you can be answering with people who don't want to work with you. Okay, you didn't get that promotion in your company and you feel like you're being looked over and passed over, and that hurts your feelings and it breaks your heart. But you got a friend that works at another company and there's a job that pays $30,000 more a year where you would probably be doing less that you're perfect for. You crying because somebody's not acknowledging you to give you a promotion when there's somebody dying to have somebody like you. 5 of Cups is saying stop worshiping closed doors, stop crying over spilled milk, because if you keep doing that, the cups that are still full are going to evaporate. And when it comes to our finances, that is literally the situation with a lot of us. You're focused on getting money one way to the detriment of ignoring opportunities to get it another way. One is probably easier, right? So that is the financial message. Take inventory of how far you come. Be grateful for your progress. Does it look exactly like what you wanted? No, but you're also not going to get what you actually wanted until you look at what did work and be grateful for what did work. There's a lack of gratitude around your own efforts, not understanding that those efforts are what led to you literally having food in your fridge, shelter. You have more than what you acknowledge and give yourself credit for, okay? We are now at the end of the general reading. Thank you all for joining me. If anyone has a question that they would like me to answer, go ahead and send off your love offering now. And then go ahead and put the question in the comment section. As you all are doing that, I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a few updates on things that I'm working on. I will be going live 2 more times this week. We will be doing happy hour on Thursday, and I will be doing part 2 of the Prosperity Clinic on Wednesday. Okay. And in this upcoming Prosperity Clinic, we're going to be talking about the difference between greed and scarcity, how they are intertwined, and how both of them lead to blockages. Okay. So make sure you're here Wednesday, 8 p.m. to join us for that particular reading. And then on Thursday, I'll be doing a happy hour reading, and I'll be here on Thursday at 8 p.m. as well, okay? So those are the 2 live streams that are coming up later in the week. We are exactly 2 weeks out from the start of the next Rich Spirit Prosperity Ritual, okay? That is I do it once every season. It is a group-based prosperity ritual where we are confronting our financial blockages, removing and stripping away those blockages, and aligning ourselves with the energy of prosperity through honey, okay? People have gotten new jobs. People have gotten hundreds of thousands of dollars to fund businesses. People have gotten new homes, all kinds of things through Rich Spirit. So if you know that you have a big financial goal that you want to make progress on, and you know that you need spiritual help, really take advantage of this group ritual, okay? That will bring forth quite a bit. Could I get the Saturn return reading from Thursday's Astral Hour? Absolutely, Aisha. Just go ahead and send in your love offering, and I will do that for you in just a minute. That's the same for everybody. So if you missed Astral Hour on Thursday and you are interested in getting either a Saturn in Aries reading or a full moon in Aquarius reading, I'm happy to do either one of those for you guys. Just tell me which of those you want and then put a comment below. And if you just want a general reading, say that as well. Put a comment below and then send in your love offering and I'll take care of you, okay? Rich Spirit, what else? August 7th through the 9th, I will be offering in-person healing sessions, okay? Everyone has until August 2nd if you are interested to coming to Atlanta to get an in-person 2-hour healing session from me, which includes a spiritual cleanse, an in-person reading. I will make spiritual products for you in real time, et cetera, et cetera. Book a in-person healing session. You can do so on my website, okay? I'm more than happy to have you, but I need everybody to have booked it by August 2nd at the very latest. That way I know how much space I need to reserve and materials I need to have, etc. So if you can come to Atlanta, Georgia between August 7th and 9th, and you are interested in booking an in-person healing session with me, go ahead and go to my website and book your session now so that I can start preparing for your visit that weekend. Okay? And then the last thing, the next chapter workshop. I am going to be unveiling a 12-week coaching program called the Next Chapter Method at the end of September. But for those who may not, you feel like you need transformation, but you don't know if you can commit to a 12-week program, I have the Next Chapter workshop, which is going to be a 4-hour workshop on August 23rd, where we help people identify what is stagnating them, what's keeping them stuck. I provide them with intensive strategy that they can incorporate into their personal care regimen, their spiritual regimen, to help them release their blockages. And everybody who participates in the workshop will walk away with at least 2 concrete instructions on how to bring transformation into their life. If you know you need support, if you know that you have been in the same position, making the same decisions, feeling like you've been stuck for the last 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, consider joining me for the Next Chapter workshop on August 23rd. I think there are many of you who know you need to change something, but you really don't know how to figure it out on your own. And the workshop is really going to help you with that revelation, okay? So if you're interested in learning more, click the link below to join the intake group so that you can learn more about it, okay? Aisha wants a Saturn in Aries retrograde reading, so I'm going to do that for her in just a moment. After Aisha, I see that Dulcinea has a question. If there's anyone else that has a question or wants either a Saturn in Aries retrograde or a full moon in Aquarius reading, go ahead and send your love offering now and put which reading you want in the comments. Okay, this is for Aisha. Ancestors, angels, ascended masters, spirits that walk with me, my elevated ancestors. What wisdom does the Saturn retrograde in Aries have for Aisha? How will this retrograde support her in her relationship to authenticity and leadership? Any wisdom? Ooh. I should take 3 deep breaths for me, okay? Take 3 deep breaths for me. Sisters, angels, and masters, what does Aisha need to know about the Saturn retrograde in Aries? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. Okay. JL, can I also get a Saturn in Aries retrograde double offering sent to PayPal? Thank you so much. I got you, JL. I will take care of you after Dulcinea. Svenstva, I got you too. Just go ahead and send your love offering. And then once I'm done with JL, I will get to you as well, okay? And I think it's really important for people to have insight about Saturn's retrograde in Aries. It's going to be, it started today. Today was the first day. It's going to be retrograde till December 10th. That is a long ass time. That is a long time. So get the wisdom you need now. Because if you have to book with me one-on-one, it's going to cost more. And you really don't want these 5 months to really blindside you. That's the last thing you want to deal with, okay? So Aisha, in the position of what are you being called to take responsibility for, we have the Hierophant, right? And I think that this is an interesting card. Hierophant is wisdom, right? Because it's the energy of the Pope. And they have wisdom about processes and what to do. But it's more than information collecting, right? He knows the rites of passage, therefore he does them. And then he guides other people through them, right? What does that have to do with you? You are at a place now when it comes to your inner authority where you have to take responsibility for the fact that you know the things you need to do and that it's not enough to know, you got to follow them through with action, right? And not only do you have to follow them through with action, it has to be met with patience. Hierophant is Taurus energy. Tauruses are consistent and deliberate. When you think about the story of the tortoise and the hare, Hierophant is the tortoise, right? So they're not looking for quick results. They just want results, right? So part of what you have to take responsibility for is that your knowledge that you've accumulated has to also be met with consistent action, and that just because things don't change quickly, it doesn't mean that they aren't changing. So there's a level of patience that you also have to take responsibility for instead of being impatient with yourself, okay? What inner strength is Saturn asking you to develop? They are asking you to develop trust and discernment, right? And I think that's why this message with the patience of the Hierophant is coming up. There are times, 7 of Cups is spiritual and emotional confusion that makes us make the wrong decisions. But a lot of that spiritual and emotional confusion is often fueled by false urgency. It's fueled by impatience, right? And that impatience can make us choose things out of desperation that actually just either traumatize us further or bring us further away from what it is we actually want, right? So the inner strength that Saturn is asking you to develop is one of patience, reflection, and stillness, okay? What will become possible if you embrace this lesson? The crazy thing is, even though you're being asked to be patient and to be focused on consistency over speed, that actually will help you get the speed that you want, right? Slowing down and being patient with yourself will help you get quicker results, right? Knight of Wands being a card of Aries, being somebody who is able to be the initiator, to get things done swiftly. But it's also an energy of fun and joy, right? I want to go back to the Hierophant. If all you're focused on is routine and discipline, it can get to a point where you have this all work and no play makes Aisha a dull girl energy. The lesson that's possible if you embrace this understanding of slowing down, smelling the roses, being patient, valuing consistency, can also get you to a place of joy, around the work, right? So instead of it feeling burdensome or punishing and like, oh my God, I just have all this stuff to do and I'm not making any progress. And now because I feel like I'm not making progress and making decisions out of desperation, if you can stop that or pull yourself out of that, it'll actually bring you closer not only to the results you want to see, but aligning you with a spirit of joy, right? Let me know if that resonated for you, Aisha. Let me know if that made sense. Dulcinea wants to know, what should I work on over this summer to prepare for the upcoming academic year? Okay. Ancestors, angels, ascended masters, spirits of all wisdom, and elevated ancestors. What wisdom does Dulcinea need about what she should work on during the summer that will prepare her for the upcoming academic year? Is there anything that she's not aware of that needs to be illuminated? Where should she put her sights? Where should she put her efforts? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. Okay. Aisha, let me know if you're here. And let me know if you were able to hear your reading and if that resonated with you, okay? Definitely resonates and makes sense. Thank you. Okay, awesome. Glad to hear it. So after I'm done with Dulcinea, I will get to JL. After JL, I'll get to Svenstva. If there's anyone after Svenstva and JL that would like a reading, go ahead and submit your love offering now, and I will get to you when I am done with the two of them, okay? This is so cute, and I can't wait to talk to you one-on-one about this, Dulcinea, because So Seven of Swords, right? And you guys often hear me talk about the Seven of Swords being the thief card, it being a warning to be careful about people around you. But it can also be a card of self-deception. And it's also a card that's saying you have to be comfortable with being stealthy. You got to hold things close to your chest. That last meaning is what I'm getting from you, Dulcinea. Everything that's coming up in the spread is talking about things you need to work on before the start of the academic year, but it has nothing to do with academics. So what does that mean? I know it's hard for grad students to do this, but baby, sit your ass down and give yourself an opportunity to rest before you have to get back into the swing of classes. In addition to that, and I know, because I was in a PhD program, I know I didn't finish, but I was there. There's this weird thing where whenever y'all niggas come together, y'all feel like y'all gotta compare spoons and compare what y'all been working on and stuff, but you low-key aren't in a space where it's safe to do that. So part of what you need to work on is getting comfortable with not feeling like you gotta tell everybody what you're working on, and keeping a lot more of your personal as well as your academic wisdom close to your chest, right? Some of the ideas that you have received about how you want the next year to look for yourself are brilliant and they're good, but you're not around the most trustworthy people. So learning to keep information close to your chest, as opposed to feeling like as soon as you get around all those people that you got something to prove and you got to over explain whatever. No, start keeping information close to your chest, right? Developing patterns or a consistent habit of self-care, right? And not so much self-care, but steady days. Really getting your regimen in order so that you feel rooted, right? King of Pentacles, slow and steady wins the race. That's part of the reason why this Seven of Swords came up. If you go into the academic year feeling anxious, feeling overworked, feeling stretched thin, it's going to be hard for you to ever catch your breath. If you enter the academic year with stable routines, with slow mornings, with demanding that your body gets enough sleep every day, that consistency is going to lead you to having much better results that lead to you having success. So like your spirits are low-key saying, like, don't even worry about the academic year yet. Just get your regimen rooted so that way you enter with a calm nervous system and a set of habits that help you maintain that calm nervous system in the face of all that comparison, busyness, and bullshit, right? We end with the Justice card. And I love that we're ending with this card, especially because you're asking about what you need to think about when you start the school year. When it comes to your academics and where you need to pick up, you already know what you need to do. So just do that shit. Stop looking for more, right? The focus you pour into the books you need to read and the papers you need to draft and the things you already knew that you needed to do when the summer started, the better results you're going to have in terms of consistency and the ability to maintain your privacy when you go back. So the long and the short of it is, there's nothing new academic you need to do before the academic year starts. What you need to focus on is sharpening your boundaries so that you don't overshare and over explain your business and the ideas you're coming up with when you get back. And you need to develop a system of consistency that sets you up to have a calm nervous system while things are busy. Does that make sense? Dulcinea, let me know if that resonates. I feel like it's pretty clear, but you're the one who's getting the reading, so I want to make sure it's clear for you. Okay, babe? Let me know if that resonated with you. I love that message for you, too, because I know you be worried all the time, even though you're doing really, really great in terms of your program. What has been the reason for this most recent bout of depression? What do I need to know, and how can I get past it? First of all, I want to say I'm sorry that you're dealing with a bout of depression. I just climbed out of a bout of depression a couple weeks ago that was painfully exacerbated by the Mercury retrograde and the amount of people that were dogpiling on me with their entitlements. So I apologize, not I apologize, but I just want to acknowledge what you're going through and say that I love you and I pray for you and I hope that we find a way out of it for you, okay? Ancestors, angels, ascended masters, spirits that walk with me, my elevated ancestors. What does JL need to know about this recent bout of depression that she's navigating? What is the wisdom that will allow her to find a way to find her way out of it? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. In my announcements earlier, I forgot to mention that my next tarot class through Patreon is going to be on Tuesday, okay? So if you are not already a member of Patreon, consider joining. That is where my tarot and shadow work series is currently being housed. It's also where the love and astrology courses are going to be housed, at least for the next week. I will have a course sale that takes place the first week of August, and the love and astrology classes will be available through those. But typically a lot of my specialty classes are taught through the Patreon first. So if you ever want to take advantage of those classes, I'm also going to be getting back into the specialty readings as well. Consider joining my Patreon, okay? And the link for that should be in the comments. If it's not, I'll put it in the comments before we part ways. So you mentioned earlier that you've been avoiding the gym. And I know that there's a lot of debate. No, doctors will say that, you know, not having a consistent physical regimen will lead to fueling a bout of depression. So the lack of physical movement is definitely playing into it. If you can start slow, right? 10 minutes of yoga in the morning, just making sure that you do your stretches. When I get really, really depressed, I will challenge myself. Okay, you don't have it in you to take your walk. You don't have it in you to get on the elliptical, but can you at least get 10 minutes of stretches in the morning, right? But the lack of physical movement right now is definitely feeding it. I don't think it's the cause, but it's definitely having impact over it, right? We then have the Magician. So something has happened in the weeks leading up to this most recent bout that has made you not fully see your own personal power, right? So you're losing faith in your own alchemy, in your own ability to really transform and shape your environment, shape your results. So I think it would be good for you to pray to your ancestors and pray to the spirits that you work with to help you get back aligned with your energy and your belief that your efforts are not for naught, right? And that you do have the capacity to build the world and build the circumstances that you want to create for yourself. You may not want to hear this, because I know that when I'm in a bout of depression, I don't want to hear, oh, it's going to get better. Like, that doesn't help me. But low key, your spirits are saying it's going to get better, right? The world card is here. The world card is celebration. It's entering a new chapter. It's being positioned to take advantage of the wisdom and the knowledge that we've accumulated in the previous chapter. So I believe strongly, based off of this card in particular, that you're on the tail end of it, and that you don't have much longer to sit in these feelings. But the main two things that I would say in terms of advice for you right now is try to start doing little things to move your body more, right? To just give your body the energetic shift and push that it needs, and work with your spirits and literally task them with helping you have enough clarity to believe that you can change whatever circumstances are having you feel this way. Okay? I hope that was helpful. Now let's look into Saturn in Aries. Saturn's retrograde in Aries for you. And if there's anyone else who would like a reading, go ahead and submit your love offering. And then once I'm done with Svenstva, I will put you in the queue and do your reading after them, okay? So you have the option of a general reading, a full moon in Aquarius reading, or a Saturn retrograde in Aries reading. If you want either of those three, go ahead and put what you want in the comments and submit your love offering. Ancestors, angels, ascended masters, spirits, walk with me, elevated ancestors. What does the Saturn retrograde in Aries have in store for JL? How is this retrograde here to help her? What is the wisdom that she will gain during these 5 months that will help her propel forward? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. I gotta take my garbage out. I'm just sorry. I be having random thoughts when I'm on these lives. My mind is always, I hate having a Virgo moon. I love and hate it. I love how like refined it makes me. I hate how like obsessive it makes me. Because that's usually what I'm doing at this hour. I'm usually not on here on the live. Every Sunday, this is the time where I'm doing laundry and I'm getting my trash out and I'm getting like all these errands done. And all I can do is think about the fact that those things need to be done. But whatever, let's focus on JL's reading. Okay. All right. So in the position of what are you being called to take responsibility for? We have the Knight of Wands, and I hope that this doesn't sound weird coming right after having done a reading about the fact that you're dealing with about a depression. But one of the things that you have a hard time taking responsibility for is your joy, right? I think that sometimes, especially when we are an emotionally porous person, because I'm this way, so know that I'm not saying it to be critical of you, but when we are emotionally porous people, it's really hard for us to understand that we have a responsibility to protect our joy. Not just protect it, but to plan it the same way we plan everything else, right? So remembering that you have a responsibility to prioritize your joy, and that joy is just as integral to your success as your planning, as your degree, as your networks, as everything else. Realizing and learning to take responsibility for your joy in a way where it is a consistent part of your life and not just something that you feel like you have to earn or that you have to get to after you hit a milestone or a marker. That is something that Spirit would really, really love to see you take responsibility for. What inner strength is Saturn asking to develop? Understanding that delays are not punishment, right? Delays are not punishment. What you experience as stagnation is not you suffering, right? That sometimes even in the delay or even in the fact that things aren't coming as quickly as you'd like them to, that still means that there's an opportunity to gain wisdom, and that wisdom will more than likely sharpen you so that not only you can experience the joy of receiving what you want fully when you get it, but it'll nurture you in a way that makes you more capable of holding the blessing once you get it, right? So that is something that inner strength with Saturn is asking you to develop. Developing a belief that delays are not no's or that they're not punishment, right? What will become possible if you embrace this lesson? What becomes possible when you embrace this lesson is that it makes it easier for you to get things done even when you don't have all the information, right? Because that's the thing about the Page of Pentacles. That's the thing about being an apprentice. You're literally learning as you go, right? So instead of being in like that Page of Cups energy where it's like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing, so I'm just going to be escapist, right? And that escapism could be either positive or it can be negative. The Page of Pentacles is like, you know what? I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. and this is my first time doing it, but I'm just going to keep in motion and I'm going to keep trying and I'm going to keep stabbing at it until I learn it, right? That's what's possible for you. The capacity to not only keep going, but to understand that you're learning and gaining experience, knowledge through experience while you keep going. That's what Saturn is here to teach you. Okay? Let me know if that made sense. Let me know if that resonated with you or not. Hey, MJ, it's good to see you. So I've already done the general reading, and now I am doing general questions for people. And then also there are a few folks that were not here in real time for Astral Hour this past week. So I'm also letting people get Saturn in Aries readings as well as full moon and Aquarius readings. So if you want either of those MJs, if you want either of those MJ, let me know and I'll take care of you, okay? But right now I'm gonna go ahead and get to Svenstva. If no one else wants a reading, I will wrap up with Svenstva. But if anyone else wants a reading, go ahead and submit your love offering and write in the comments what reading you want, okay? So since I just finished Saturn in retrograde in Aries, I'm going to do that one first for you, Svenstva, okay? Ancestors, angels, cinemasters, spirits, walk with me. Elevated ancestors, what is the Saturn retrograde in Aries here to teach Svenstva? What is the wisdom that she needs? What will these next 4.5 to 5 months have in store for her when it comes to lessons and breakthrough related to Saturn? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. Okay. So, Svenstva, in the position of what are you being called to take responsibility for? You are being called to take responsibility for your emotional confusion, right? And what I mean by that is the emotional confusion comes from two places. One is impatience, which we talked about earlier, right? I think a lot of us have a tendency to confuse stillness or slowness with delay and punishment, right? So there's an impatience in you that makes you try to force things to work because of emotional confusion. But then also the other thing that I'm getting is that sometimes the emotional confusion is chosen. And what I mean by that is that it's almost like you don't fully trust yourself to make decisions. And because you don't trust yourself, you hem and haw and stall yourself. And that often makes you choose things that you regret later, right? So there is a need to really work on your emotional confidence as well as your patience when it comes to making big decisions and big choices, so that way you're not making decisions either out of desperation or coercion, right? Because when people know you're emotionally confused, they will take advantage of you. A predator ain't nothing a predator loves more than an emotionally confused person. An emotionally confused person, a person that doubts themselves, that doesn't believe themselves, Predators love a bitch like that, right? In terms of what inner strength is Saturn asking you to develop, justice. You give too many second chances. And I know I usually talk about justice in terms of karma, but in this instance, justice is literal. You give too many second chances. You give people too much rope to play in your face. And then you wonder why you end up in the same situation over and over again. But if you weren't operating in emotional confusion and treating people based off of their potential instead of the evidence that they give you about who you are, you wouldn't be in a position where, you are constantly not receiving justice. So this is coming up because you have to develop the inner strength of going based off of evidence, understanding that what you put into a situation is what you get back. And whenever we pour into people that play about us, the universe is going to play with us, right? I remember when I first baptized and became a practitioner of Vodou, one of the women in my coven would always say, when you play with Vodou, it plays with you. I feel that way about God. I feel that way about the universe. When we sit in the universe's face and we play like we don't know better, it'll start to play with us, right? So that's an inner strength that Saturn is asking you to develop. Stop getting so wrapped up in what you want to believe about people and just seeing the evidence of who they are so that you don't always end up in these situations where you have to survive and navigate someone else's injustice, right? What will become possible if you embrace this? Not only will more financial opportunities come to you, but when you receive windfall and overflow, you get to have the joy of yourself without having to, deal with mistakes and distraction and taking care of other people and all this other bullshit, right? There's opportunities coming to you in your future, and it's almost like these opportunities can't come through because there's injustice you have to navigate with other people, and your spirits don't want that to get wrapped up in that. And also you keep making decisions from a space of a lack of clarity that are taking you further away from these blessings, right? So let me know if that makes sense or if that resonates with you. I'm gonna do your full moon in Aquarius reading now. Again, if anybody, what am I trying to say? The full moon in Aquarius happens this Wednesday. So I think it's really important for us to be prepared for it because many of us are already feeling the impacts of this full moon, even though it's 3 days away, right? We're already in the shadow energy of the Aquarius full moon. So, ancestors, angels, ascended masters, spirits that walk with me, my elevated ancestors. What is the full moon in Aquarius here to teach Svenstva about freedom? What is the lesson, the wisdom that they are meant to receive during this full moon about freedom? What do they need to release? What do they need to prepare for? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. If there's anyone else that would like a reading, whether it's a full moon in Aquarius reading, whether it's a Saturn retrograde in Aries reading, or it's just a general reading on another topic, go ahead and submit your love offerings now and put the question that you want answered in the comments so that I can get to you. If not, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up with Svenstva for the day. Because my thing starts at 7. Could I add the full moon read? Absolutely, Aisha. Just go ahead and send an additional love offering and I will do the full moon reading for you. Okay, what are you ready to release? And this is my favorite card. So I love that this is what's coming up for you, Svenstva. You are ready to release the belief that you are selfish if you move for self. What does that mean? Chariot is deeply committed to their own goals and success. They are so deeply committed to their own goals and success that they are unafraid to move towards their goals alone. They are so dedicated to their success that even when life is pulling them in opposite directions, rather than giving up, they find a way to pivot, right? From an outsider, they can seem very egotistical. They can seem very selfish. because no matter what's going on around them and no matter who is pulling at their energy, they are always going to bring it back to what they are working on. You have to release the belief that in prioritizing yourself, you are selfish. Even if other people call you selfish. Don't nobody give a fuck. Because you got to hit your goals. You got to wake up every day with the belief that not only are you deserving of hitting your goals, but that there's something you can always do to bring you closer. Okay? So that is something that you have to release. You have to release the false belief that being self-involved and being committed to personal success somehow makes you selfish. And even if people call you that, that's not your business, right? What truth is being illuminated by this full moon? 9 of Pentacles, you are better off than what you give yourself credit for. I think you were one of those people I was speaking to both in the overall general reading as well as the finance reading. 9 of Pentacles is independent wealth, luxury, and abundance. And it's also somebody who's able of sustaining themselves financially, right? They may not, we think 9 of Pentacles is a wealth card, and it can be a wealth card. But more often than not is somebody who can sustain themselves for themselves, right? So the reason why this is coming through as a truth that's being illuminated by the full moon, I don't think you believe this about yourself. I don't think you understand this. I don't think you understand how good you're doing. I don't think you understand that you are capable of self-sustaining yourself, right? And that could be part of the reason why Spirit is bringing up this Chariot thing. Because some of the people who may be trying to convince you that you're selfish may also be people that are trying to convince you to be codependent with them, right? So they don't benefit from you standing in this understanding that you're capable because they need you to believe that you need them and you don't, right? And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with not needing people. I think if more people were comfortable with being wanted and not needed, we could have healthier relationships, right? But that is a truth that's going to be illuminated by the full moon. How can you move toward greater authenticity and purpose? Again, similar message, but different card to that Chariot. You have to be so committed to your elevation that you don't really care or get distracted by what the people around you say, especially if their attempt is to bring you down to size, right? That them trying to bring you down to size ain't none of your concern. What is your concern is your elevation. What is your concern is you unapologetically rising to your full potential, okay? So let me know if that resonates with you, Senspa. Let me know if that was helpful. Aisha wants the full moon reading as well. If there's anyone else that would like either a full moon in Aquarius reading, a Saturn retrograde in Aries reading, or you just have a general question, submit your love offering, and I will answer the question for you once you put it in the comments. Again, the suggested minimum is $11.11. If you don't have $11.11, no one will be turned away, but you do have to submit something, okay? I used to get on here and some of you guys who've been with me for years know there was a period of time where I would be on here after the collective reading. I would read for an hour and a half straight, and people maybe sent me $2. I want to repeat that. I would read for an hour and a half straight. So I would read for 10 to 12 people straight. And of those 10 to 12 people, maybe 1 or 2 sent me $1. So I'm not trying to be greedy. I'm trying to really, there's a way that, especially on YouTube, especially on Instagram, especially on TikTok, especially on social media, people don't understand the nature of energetic exchange or value that this is spiritual labor. So that's the only reason why I refuse to read anymore for completely free. So I know everybody got $1. So if you want a reading, submit something. If not, then, I'll be back here next week. Ancestors, angels, ascended masters. What does the full moon in Aquarius have to teach Aisha? What is the lesson about freedom, personal freedom, and leadership that the Aquarius full moon is meant to pour into her? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. Absolutely, JL. If you wouldn't mind going ahead and sending the additional offering, I will do the full moon in Aquarius reading for you after Aisha. Aisha says, shaking my damn head. Aisha, yeah, you've been with me for a minute now, but you came after I had to put that boundary in place. And because I know how you are and how important equal exchange is to you, I think you would have been pissed off had you seen it. Because I had clients who would watch that happen and get pissed off. And I think you would have been one of those clients that would have been irritated. But yeah, that used to happen a lot. A lot. It's actually part of the reason why I'm going to be real. And I'm saying it because I don't have shame around it. I don't care. My live stream numbers used to be a lot higher. When I would go live, I would have like typically 20, 22 people watching live. Once I set that boundary and was like, look, I'm not reading for free anymore, my numbers dropped. But here's the thing, I don't fucking care. Y'all have watched me come on here before and literally do entire live streams with just one other person. I don't care. I always say I want a dedicated audience. I want an audience that is reciprocal. I don't need a big audience. I just need a loyal audience. I need an aligned audience. Those are the things that I care about. I've left spaces and organizations that had big audiences. And I wasn't jiving either with how the people ran the organization or how the audience acted, right? So it is what it is. All right. Aisha's full moon reading. What are you ready to release? 9 of Pentacles in reverse. You have to release the belief that you aren't capable of being independent, right? There's false belief that you carry that makes it hard for you to fully prioritize yourself without feelings of guilt or like what Spirit is saying to me, and I'm going to repeat this language because it's something that my grandma used to say. It's almost like you feel like if you aren't pouring into other people, the ground's going to fall out from under you, right? And that's not true. So you have to release this belief that pouring into you not only makes you selfish, it's a little different than the last person. For you, it's more about you feel like you're not going to be okay unless you aren't pouring into people. So that's something that you really got to release because it is an impediment to you being fully emotionally free, right? And again, Aquarius energy is about freedom. What truth is being illuminated by this full moon? That faith is the first ingredient to anything. We can't do anything without faith, right? And in this instance, this is not, you have a faith in God, deep faith in God, right? You believe deeply in the faith of your Orisha and the faith of your ancestors. But you got to start having that same kind of faith in yourself, right? And remembering that you are reflections of them, or a reflection of them. So part of having faith in them is also to have faith in yourself, right? That is a truth that's really being illuminated under the full moon of Aquarius. In terms of how can you move toward greater authenticity and purpose, you got to stop putting one foot in, one foot out. You got to get off the tightrope, right? You got to stop juggling doubt with belief. They can't live in the same space. 2 of Pentacles is juggling multiple things at one time, almost feeling like you're being stretched like taffy because you're walking a tightrope, you're walking on eggshells. So a part of what you have to, what's going to help you move towards greater authenticity is to get off the eggshells and to get off the tightrope and stop trying to juggle doubt with self-belief because the doubt is always going to impact your self-belief, right? So that's your full moon message. I hope that resonates with you. All right. If there's anyone else that would like a reading, go ahead and send your love offering and put which reading you'd like in the comments. If not, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up with JL. I can probably do one more person after JL, but I am going to have to get off because I do have a reading at 7:15. I have a meeting at 7:15. But JL wants the full moon reading. Ancestors, angels, ascended masters, spirits to walk with me. What wisdom does the full moon in Aquarius have for JL at this time? What is she going to be called to release under this full moon? What will be illuminated for her? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. That I'm going to highlight that because I feel like that always happens with us. I swear that happens so often with us, Aisha. I've like at least every couple of weeks you say that. When you ask for a reading here in the lives, you'll be like, I pulled that card this morning. So I love that that happens because it lets me know that there's synchronicity there and that the message is completely true, right? Because if your spirit's already said it to you and then I reiterate it a few hours later, then we know that there's truth there. Okay. Now, JL, in the position of what are you ready to release with the full moon in Aquarius, we have indecision, right? And that's the thing. The indecision of the Two of Swords not only stagnates us, but it makes us so fearful of making a decision that we just allow life to happen to us, right? So I think the full moon is going to position you to where you can get out of this space of feeling held captive by the big decisions that you have to make. And it gives you the confidence and the power of self to just go ahead and start making decisions instead of being in such a lack of self-trust that you don't believe that you are capable of making the right decision, right? What truth is being illuminated by this full moon? And this came up earlier. I don't remember which reading it was I did for you, but we have the Hangman, and I know a lot of people hate the Hangman. I love the Hangman because it's a card of surrender and it's a card of submission. And a lot of times we learn the most when we stop fighting our circumstances, right? I love that in the Millennial Tarot, in this deck here, this is called the card, Hangman is called the card of unemployment or fun employment, right? Because I made a whole career pivot when I was unemployed. That's when I decided to leave academia and go into crisis work. And I've loved being in crisis work ever since, right? It's when you can submit to a circumstance that wisdom comes and joy comes from that wisdom. But when you fight the surrender, when you fight the need to lose control and to submit, it just leads to further discomfort, right? So for you, what gets illuminated with this full moon in Aquarius is that there are certain things that you feel like you don't have control over in your life right now. Instead of fighting them and using that as justification to mistreat yourself or call yourself things that are not true or rooted in reality, pay attention to what's going on around you with soft eyes so that you can get the wisdom that needs to come from the experience, right? How can you move toward greater authenticity and purpose? It's interesting because the same card came out for Aisha. We got the Two of Pentacles, right? There are certain things that you keep waffling back and forth in terms of false beliefs or even just options that are not going to help you. And it's when you stop trying to juggle multiple things. It's when you stop having one foot in, one foot out, that you'll be able to really move forward with authenticity and purpose, right? It's almost like there's a part of you that believes what you're doing, but then there's another part of you that feels like, well, I need a backup, or I need an escape, or I need some sort of safety and protection. Those two beliefs can't live in the same space, because if you truly believed in what you were doing, you wouldn't feel like you need an out, right? So Two of Pentacles is asking you to get off the tightrope so that you can be fully connected to your purpose and your authenticity. Okay? I hope that was helpful. I hope that resonated with you. I'm really grateful that so many of you guys showed up, even though I went live hella early. I want to thank you all for that. Thank you tremendously. I appreciate you so much. I will be back at the normal schedule next week of 7:30. In the meantime, make sure that you're here on Wednesday for the Prosperity Clinic at 8 p.m. EST. If you are interested in joining me for a tarot class on Tuesday through the Patreon, join my Patreon, patreon.com/Sole, SOLE, Spirit Work. Yeah, and then all my readings and classes and things that I'm working on are all in the description. So make sure you sign up for those. This is also the last week to get your Golden Shadow reading for $85. The discounted price of $85 is typically $125. It's also the last week for you to get your Rich Beard body wash at $33.33 before it goes back up to $60, okay? Love you. See you all on Wednesday. Goodbye.